Comics Plus, Sun, DC Sun. We're about to find out why the Squid Game is so popular.
Yeah.
He just finished it.
I just finished it.
You were like, whatever, right?
Yeah, we had this conversation,
Right.
but briefly, I felt like the father, had he met his daughter at least once after the big game and the traumatic experience or whatever, and then, is it okay to tell them?
Actually, let's do it instead. Before we get to that point, let's go to the Squid Game Ending Explained.
Okay.
Like that, and then we can talk about it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
we'll
spoilers, guys. Spoilers.
Yeah.
If you haven't
Spoilers.
seen the end, come
Lots
back.
of spoilers.
Come back in about 10 minutes or so. We're streaming live on Twitch. Come back in about 10 minutes. Spoilers.
Lots of spoilers.
We got your battle royales, we got your Alice in Borderlands, and the absolute worst of all, Pie Hell.
Hey,
But a new contender
Yeah.
has entered the ring in
That's,
Crazy Asian
New
game
Year's
shows.
TV show.
Yes,
Wait.
in cra-
I actually would like to know what
Worst
that.
of all, Pie Hell.
yeah. So in Japan,
No.
every New Year's.
No,
they have that
I
show.
know this, but I just want to know what location this is because I want that pool. That's what.
But if you look at it, it looks like the same one that what's her name? You showed it to me last week? The video clip. Oh, girls.
Oh, Shivers,
Something like that. Yeah.
the white girl.
No. Shibuya. Nantoka Shibuya.
Oh,
I don't know why.
Shibuya Kaho.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It kind of looks like.
Yeah, I can
that
see
area.
that. All right, let's go.
But a new contender has entered the ring in Crazy Asian game shows. Yes, it's Squid Game. Netflix Korea's 9-part drama has more twists and turns than who will become the next Jeopardy host. So in this video, we'll be breaking it all down, looking
right,
at
'cause
some
they kept
details
changing.
you may have missed, and going over its crazy.
This hair,
Yeah,
yo!
that hair,
Oh, it's terrible.
That hair and in a blue suit. So now he's just confused.
Yeah.
Ending that I think might be setting us up for an even bloodier season 2. So join the game. Your first task is to like and subscribe, and come with me as we serve up some delicious calamari. Squid Game follows Guillen, and yes, you're going to have to suffer with my terrible Korean pronunciations. He's
Fair
a
enough.
down-and-out dad who mooches off his poor mother, gambles away his daughter's birthday money, and is overall one of the most unlucky guys you'll ever meet. This makes him a prime candidate for Squid Game, a competition shrouded in mystery where only the most destitute and desperate are chosen.
So I do want to bring this up because they're probably going to explain it, but I'll probably forget this point that we were making earlier today when we were talking about it was the ending of Squid Game.
Yeah.
Everybody's all mad about the fact that he
didn't even
go
see-
try and
he
see
didn't go
his
see his
daughter.
daughter.
The whole point of him joining this was we were led to believe was because he was doing this all for his daughter, right? But I believed in context. The real situation was he was doing this because he was addicted to it.
Yeah, and
then
using her for an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
I was one of the sad people hoping that he actually was doing it for his daughter because he wanted to make a change.
Right.
But then, for whatever reason, decided, you know what? I need to stop these people from continuing this game or
Right, I'm
doing
like,
this. Then you go back to do something or to
Yeah,
tell
when does this dude like
whatever.
straight up become Robin Hood or whatever, like or like a superhero? I'm like I literally thought they were gonna play the Avengers theme song when he was getting out of the airport.
Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Him
dun,
just
dun,
turning around
like
being on the
that.
phone was like,
yeah, nah,
really, dude?
Come on, dude.
You
Come
didn't even
on.
see your girl,
Right.
man.
Let's go.
Faith is lost.
모두 감당할 수 없는 빚을 지고 돌아가서
Oh shit, my bad.
남은 인생을 빚쟁이들에게 쫓기며 저희가 드리는 마지막 기회를 잡으시겠습니까?
The first episode sets up why a man like Guillen would voluntarily join such a game. Unlike Battle Royale or Alice in Borderland, contestants in Squid Game are here voluntarily, and can even choose to leave the game should the majority of contestants decide to do so. Because of Guillen's financial situation, he's lost custody of his 10-year-old daughter, who's about to move to the US with his ex-wife. Unless he can get himself off his feet and prove to the court he can be responsible for taking care of her, he risks losing her for good. This
A plot that was very much forgotten
Yeah,
by the end of the show.
they basically just grazed right over that.
Yep. I was like, wait a second, what is up with your
Something
kid,
else
man?
I thought was interesting. It's like two of the top earners, especially now, is how a lot of people look at him and Lee Byung-ho at the end.
Okay.
You barely see him. It's like you see him here only. Then he just
So he's like
this
super
village.
famous in Korea then. Okay, cool. Yeah. Because I was like, yeah, where was that one
I was
guy?
like, where'd he go?
I legit thought that he was like the
He was going to be the guy in the black mask.
Black Mask or the mastermind behind it all, but yeah.
This leads him to a chance encounter with a mysterious man representing the Squid Game,
And he's got a
promising
blue
an
suit on.
enormous cash payout should he win the game. And because he's so desperate, he joins up, being knocked unconscious with gas and transported to a secret island where the games are performed. Before I really delve...
Leon, will you what?
The one thing that did bug me is the cop. I'm looking at him like, the van ain't got that much clearance underneath, man. How you gonna slide under the van and ride onto the...
I thought,
really?
like, what if they hit a speed bump?
Right? Not joking, because I'm looking at it, it's
Yeah.
like, you got this going all the way down the dock. Yeah, he gonna get crushed.
Yeah.
Into the ending, it's important to know how these games work. There are 456 players, male, female, young, old, Korean, and international. They are also in financial ruin, with some of the players millions of won in debt. Won is the Korean
billions.
currency. When they arrive in the living quarters, there are 456 bunk bed style accommodations, and they are read 3 very simple rules about the games. 1, a player is not allowed to stop playing. 2, a player who refuses to play will be eliminated. And 3, the games may be terminated if the majority agrees. They're even given these consent forms, however, what the players don't yet realize is that being eliminated from the game means being killed. All of the games are based off Korean
notice you don't see
schoolyard
that girl.
games. The first one you'll probably recognize in North America too as
Red light, green light.
whereby the caller eliminates anyone who's caught moving during the red light phase.
By the way, free costume idea for anybody. If you got a group thing going on, if you got a... What?
I'm just laughing because I could just see people dressing up like this.
No, that's what I'm saying. Look, yo, if you're looking for the perfect Halloween costume right now, it's either going to be Among Us or Red Light, Green...
Light.
I'm sorry, the Squid Game is... All you got to do is find a bunch of people to wear those things, and then green jumpsuits. I mean, that would be bomb. And then you have one girl dress up as this little Korean little Debbie chick, and it would be the greatest group event
Can you
costume
imagine
thing.
if like everyone did that in Shibuya Crossing?
Unfortunately, see, I don't think Squid Game is popping off enough in Japan.
It's
Like-
people are starting to watch it,
Right,
but
but
not
no-
like outside
Yeah,
Japan yet.
like outside of Japan,
They'll get
it's
there.
doing really, really well.
Yeah.
But I've mentioned it to so many of my students, they're like,
What?
like whatever, right? They
Yeah.
don't care. So yeah.
and I
And
like
because
how
the
the
contestants-
squid logo is the hairpin in her head.
Oh shit.
Don't know they'll actually be shot dead if they don't follow the rules, it creates absolute
He's like-
pandemonium during this first game, with contestants running in panic only to get shot in the process. In fact, at the end of the first game,
Half,
255 of the 456
Whew.
contestants
Yeah.
die. Their bodies are
Yeah,
put
that
in
was
these
basically
black
season
coffins
2
with a
of,
pink bow on them,
Walking
only
Dead.
to be incinerated by the men in red jumpsuits. The jumpsuit men are
I thought it was
basically in
pink.
charge of
Yeah, they
keeping
look pink
order
to me,
and
fuchsia.
acting as referees. You'll notice they either have a triangle,
Right.
square, or circle emblazoned on their masks, and they all wear masks to hide their identities from the contestants and one another. In order from lowest to highest rank are circle, triangle, square, front man, and the mysterious boss who caters to the VIPs. But we'll get to them in a bit. So with 250
Yeah.
Oh my god! Even as somebody, even like I watched it, and I had to watch it in Japanese audio and then English subtitles. But when they got to the foreigner parts, it was so funny because every foreign
Person
dialect.
sounded over
Yeah.
the top.
You're right, over the
just-
top.
It didn't match.
Over the top, white type of dude. Like,
Yeah.
hey, that's great. I'll use my credit card.
Yeah, it's funny because
Dead
they
after
all
the-
were.
Yeah.
first game,
Except
and the
one.
remaining 201 traumatized by what they just experienced, they decide to hold a vote if they should.
So
Again,
he-
do you see her?
Right. So something we were talking about earlier was like they just randomly threw in that cute chick that befriended the main girl. And I was like, where was she the entire time?
Yeah, because I actually paused and I'm like scanning, looking for her, and it's like I still haven't found her. So if
Right, she
any of
just-
you have seen her,
she just
let me know
randomly
what scene
showed
she's
up.
in.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's just one of those small things. Yeah.
Continue playing the game. Remember rule number 3, that
Dothraki
games may be
rule.
terminated if the majority agrees. But before taking it to a vote, they're told of the prize pool. Each player is worth 100 million won, which is added to the total prize pool once a player is eliminated. If they're
Funny enough, almost every time every time they put out the money, I was like, I paused it and I was like, Siri, how much is that worth in US?
There are 456 players. That means there's 45.6 billion won on the line, which roughly converts to 38.5 million US dollars. The catch is, if they end the game, they get nothing, and the money is split up among the families of those who have already died. Even though there's tremendous risk, a lot of these players have nothing to live for, and the vote ends up hinging on one player, Oh Il Nam, who chooses not to continue.
His character
is really interesting.
Is basically the main character from Saw, the original Saw movie.
Yeah,
it's like, okay.
I want to play a game.
Il-Nam is hiding a big secret that ends up being one of the biggest twists in the show, but we'll get to that in a bit. So even though they vote to end the games, the contestants are given a choice. In a few days' time, should a majority of them choose to come back to the game, they will restart. This occurs in episode 2, which is titled Hell. And Hell isn't referring to the game, but the reality these contestants face in the real world. Episode 2 focuses on the harsh realities these characters face in the...
Okay. One thing I will point out is because people are feeling really sorry for
him.
No, the Indian guy or the Pakistani guy. This guy. I'm like, why was this motherfucker even in the game to begin with? Like, I was like,
because he was in debt.
But he stole the money, right?
Well, the thing is, it's not so much that he stole the money. This money that he stole, he gave to his family to leave.
Right. But my thing was,
but he was in debt and he was trying to get more money to get them out. But I'm like, but
why don't you just go
safe.
back? Yeah. Why don't you just go back to Pakistan and that would have been it? You know.
But the reason why he didn't go because that dude took his passport, so he can't leave the country. And that's something that they were talking about because that happens a lot.
Okay,
these little companies will get foreigners come in, put them to work, take their passport, so they can't really say anything because they're illegally now if their passport is taken.
Yeah,
and then they're not being paid, so they keep working in lieu of thinking that they're going to get that pay.
Okay, but in theory, couldn't he have just gone to his embassy or something and been like, "Yo, I'm in a lot of shit. Just send me back to Pakistan real quick."
Yeah, you could, but you also got to take into the fact that he's probably looking at it as
he might go to jail or something because he just chopped up that dude's hand or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, and
doesn't he expose him?
Even before this, like him being locked up by the embassy or by the authorities, now he can't provide for his family.
Okay.
So he's like overthinking it.
I guess.
Yeah. I'm with you though. I'm like, why didn't the hell did you go?
Yeah, just.
It's like you took the money, you got your family. It's not enough for all three of you to leave. Okay.
And if he does have your passport, this motherfucker's in a hospital right now. Just bust into the. Just go look for that shit.
Yeah, because part of me is like, okay, if that's the case, then you got into the country, so there's a record of you coming in.
Right.
So why don't you say you lost your passport?
Right. There you go.
These characters face in the real world.
I didn't feel sorry for him at all.
King
I felt sorry for her.
Money to a man she paid to get her parents out of North Korea.
Fresh out the boat. That's what he looks like. He looks like the dude from Ant-Man. But yeah.
To make sure that I'm correct, so when I watched it, the conversation, it basically sounded like he was saying that the money that she got for him to give to the family, the parents, they left.
Right. The person that was researching it left. With the money.
Okay.
Yeah. Her little brother Shoal now lives in an orphanage, and her mother is still trapped in the north. Ali Abdul is an immigrant trying to raise a family who can't seem to make ends meet. Deok-soo is on the run for double...
Yo, he was badass. He was probably the standout guy of the whole show.
He was badass. So I'm like, he could have died 6 times over, and no one did.
I liked him, actually.
He did a good job.
Filipino gang, and Sangwoo is hundreds of millions won in debt for fraud. It's only until they come back to the real world that they realize their problems could be solved by
Of course she was great.
As Il-Nam tells Guillen,
whoa, it's weird hearing him actually.
I'm used to it because I listened to it in Korean.
Yeah.
93% of the contestants who survived the first game opt to return to compete, even knowing they could die. They are so desperate they are willing to take this risk. And this includes Guillen, who's on the verge of losing his daughter. Over the course of the next 5 days, Guillen and the other contestants will endure 5 bloody games. The second game is titled Sugar Honeycomb, in which the contestants choose
One thing I will like about it, one thing that I will say that, because a lot of people are saying Alice in Borderland worked much better, and I'm like, what? No. Because Borderland had, like, they spent their entire budget on making Shibuya look empty and everything.
Yeah.
And, like, everything else looked like they just rented an Airbnb and just put cheap posters on doors and everything.
Pretty accurate.
Right? No, that's what I'm saying. And I'm like, I was so disappointed with that, so I didn't even get past episode 1. What I will say about what really stood out with Squid Game is that it was a very simple set design, but they used really high class, high grade cameras, but really that the HDR really shows out really well on your screen. It made it pop, but on top of that, their color grading was so beautifully done that it had this very vivid sort of look to it, and I think that made it work really well.
The only room that felt cheap to me was the boss's room at the end, where he's got all the VIPs there. That room felt like, considering that it's been on lots of Japanese sets and stuff like that. It's like what you're talking about, how like cutting corners.
I see what you're saying.
So it had that typical cheap wallpaper
Right.
layout look to it.
The
Not
way
that it's bad, but it's like, okay, that room felt overdone.
Right,
Where
okay.
this, every
Okay,
other
fair
scene
enough,
felt done
but
really,
I think,
really well.
but I also
because
think
it's
that
simple.
was, but I also think that was on purpose because that
Yeah,
was the
of course.
VIP rooms and the
Right.
fact that it was like, yo, we
And
can
they're
have
always
all
over the
these
top.
hoes, like, you know, the one girl just was literally her breasts were
She was
pillows.
just, she was just sitting there and dude was
Yeah,
just
that
laying
was
on. I was
great.
like,
one of 4
alright.
shapes and must cut them out of a piece of honeycomb. If the shape cracks at all, it will result in death. Game 3 is Tug of War, where the losing teams
Every
are
time
thrown
I saw
over a
that,
pit
I'm like,
and killed.
they look way too heavy for the other team to just be like, oh, it's sliding a little bit. It's like, nah, bruh.
It's the
Gravity's gonna take it, man.
Nah, it was the pool of
Game 4 is Marbles, in which contestants play against each other, the winner leaving with their life.
This
Guillen
one, I
is up
think the
against the
Pakistani,
old man,
he was just dumb.
Ilham, who he's built a strong friendship with. When the old man wets his bed, Guillen even offers his sweater to cover him up so he can play with dignity. This relationship will become important later on in the video when we get to that final
But he
big
gives it back to
twist.
him. So I'm like,
Guillen
don't it
survives,
smell like
making it
this?
to the second last game, a treacherous crossing in which contestants must traverse a bridge made of glass, the one which can hold their weight and the other which cannot. I may do a separate video on how to beat these games where I'll go super in depth, but for this video I want to focus.
When this happened, were you doing like I was, looking at the glass to see what the differences were before anyone said anything? When it came, it was like,
yeah, I was
okay,
looking
which
at
one is
how the
which?
light like
reflects off. It was
yeah.
like, that's kind of cool. And then it gets to an end. It's like, oh, the viewers are probably thinking the same thing. So let's make it dark. It's like, fuck. Sorry, go ahead.
That was really good though.
Yeah, it was messed up, man.
He didn't give it back. He did. A guy in the black shirt. Did it hurt when you fell from heaven? Ooh.
Focus on the ending.
No, but it did when I came from hell.
Because we're about to take a ride to Crazy Town. Yun makes it to the final game, along with one other contestant, Sangwoo. To make matters worse, the two know each other from real life. Yun is friends with his mom and would even take Sangwoo to school as a kid. Over the course of the previous 5 games, Sangwoo has been a secret villain. He withheld information that could have helped his friends in the game, denies women from competing on their team, tricks his marble partner into giving him all his marbles by exchanging with him a marble sack full of rocks. This results in Ali being killed. He throws another man over the pit during the glass game, and finally, on the eve of the final game, he kills Sabiak.
Yeah,
Fearing
that
she and
part
Yun will
made
join
me angry. I was like, dude, really? So it's like the whole, and given the whole time he's really playing them because he's pretending to be asleep.
Right.
And I'm like, why you stop? Go ahead and go up to him.
I mean,
get over it.
I liked him though because he played the game.
He played it well. Yeah,
he played the game. He's like, oh, fuck all you motherfuckers. I'm about to make this happen, dude.
Out of all the, and that also goes to good writing because out of all the characters, especially the handful that we got, these two are the ones that I wanted to see succeed.
Right. Because I honestly, if Home Dude won, the other guy won, I would have been like, cool, all right, sounds good. Because I did not like this dude, this main guy. Because they were purposely trying to make us like him and like emphasize with him, but I was just like, this dude's pretty fucking weak, like because he was showing his true intentions every other moment, I mean, and that was very
little
clear.
too clearly.
Yeah, that was very clear when he was tricking the old man.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, dude, I trust the other guy because at least the other guy was honest about himself. He's like,
Yeah, but
this
him
bitch is
tricking
about
the
to
old
die.
man because he's like, I don't want to kill him.
what?
And well, him tricking the old man is like, because he doesn't want to kill him.
But he
And
still
to become
killed him.
friends. Well, he didn't have a choice.
Right,
Well,
you know.
not really.
And forces and vote to end the game. The final game is what the show has all been
Yeah, that's
leading
the
up
hair
to,
clip.
Squid Game. It's a pretty simple game where the attacker must touch the head of the squid with his or her feet to win. However, if they can't make it or are pushed out...
I also felt this was a very big nod to, not Resident Evil, Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs.
And the fact that these people knew each other, but now look at them at the end of the game, and it's like they're ready to kill each other.
That and it
like,
goes with the saying, you never really know someone until you fight them.
There you go.
Outside the bounds of the court, the defender wins. In this version, anything goes, from throwing sand in the opponent's face to using knives. After a bloody battle between the two, Guillen emerges the victor, but in a stunning change of events, he refuses to claim victory. Instead, he offers his hand to Sangwoo so they can leave together with their lives, but with no money.
Fuck
Remember,
that
if
shit.
they both vote to end the game, they can leave.
Right.
But in a twist I didn't see coming, Sangwoo kills himself. He'd rather
I
Guillen
saw it,
leave and
actually.
win with the money than live and have to face the reality.
For reals.
of the outside
For
world.
reals. Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
but
he was
it
a,
happens a lot in
he was a
dramas like
G
this, so
for
I
he was a G
expected
for
that.
that though. Like I was like, you know what? Respect.
What would have been interesting is if he just took that and just stabbed dude in the foot, and then killed Guillaume. That would have been unexpected for me. Him killing himself was like, I saw that coming.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
He's lied to his mother about being a successful businessman, and one in which he owes hundreds of millions of dollars after being caught for fraud. You'd think this show would end here. Guillen is dropped off on the side of the curb with a gold...
That's actually a really good. Now that I think about that, he probably would have been able to benefit everybody else's lives a lot better. He would have been able to take care of his mom if he really cared. But the thing is, he didn't care about anybody else.
But himself.
No. He only cared about his mom, and that's about it. So he would have never gotten Homegirl's brother out of the orphanage and all that other stuff. So, yeah.
credit card containing his
Interesting.
45.6 billion won in cash. But now that he has all this money, it couldn't
Conversion.
stop the fact that while he was gone, his mother passed away and daughter went off to live in America. We fast forward a year and Guillen
Good
hasn't
point, Blade.
touched a
Good point.
penny from his earnings. The
Good
one
point.
thing he spent the entire season fighting for has just laid dormant in his bank account. But why hasn't he touched it? Guilt. The money to him might as well be blood money, made off the lives of the 455 contestants who died so that he could win. But things take an even more bizarre twist when Guillen receives an invitation from his Ganbu, the name the old man gave to describe their friendship. But the old man is supposed to be dead. On the 7th floor of the Sky Building sits Il-nam on his deathbed.
I swear to God, I thought this was a nod to Wolverine Samurai. Like, literally, this nigga was in a fucking suit, like Wolverine, and, like, whoosh, and he's like, oh, the Wolverine, you have lived. The fucking Silver Samurai, he was about to come up. Like, I literally wouldn't have been surprised if suddenly he gets out, Gambu, some exoskeleton.
And he's super jacked.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I actually hadn't even thought about that movie in a long time.
Oh, let's go.
Connected to different types of tubes and wires. He never died in the game because he was the game's orchestrator. As we'll find out, Il-nam created the games in 1988, or at least that's the earliest we see the records go. He was an extremely wealthy man who became
Definitely
so
before
rich
that.
that life gave him no more joy.
Gotta be before that, because that
After all,
says
what
round
fun
6.
is
Yeah.
life when you can have everything in the world. So he and a group of other wealthy people banded together to inject some fun into their lives, creating these deadly games. Now there is reason to assume that there are different games held all over the world. When the VIPs, those wealthy people, arrive to watch the games in person, one of them remarks that the Korean games are the best, suggesting there are others. Il-nam will
Exactly.
go on to tell Guillen that the reason he participated in the games was to feel alive one more time before.
Interesting. So, okay, so people have kind of been talking about this, and everybody's like, please do not make an American adaptation of this, right? But honestly, I'm actually for that if it's separated from the context of this Squid Game, and instead they call it the Jumping Jacks or whatever. So basically, I don't know. It's roughly connected. But okay,
it's connected, but it's a different game.
Correct. This is the U.S. edition,
But within the same
Let's
universe.
play the French
kind of
version of it. Yeah, like that. Like, interesting. Yeah.
Do a French version. Everyone has to do parkour.
But then everybody.
That'd be awesome.
Yo, what if they release that in time for the Olympics next time around? Because it's going to be in Paris next time. That would actually be dope.
That'd actually be dope.
Where he died. But Guillen wants one thing answered more than anything else. Il-nam will answer him if he agrees to play one final game. Outside across the street is a homeless man, a man likely to die from the cold if no one helps him. If, in the next 25 minutes, no one helps him, Il-nam wins and will take everything Guillen owns. If someone does help the homeless man, Guillen will take Il-nam's life. The entire game revolves around the question, is man inherently good or bad? Il-nam believes no one will help, and even asks Guillen why anyone can be good after he witnessed all the horror and dark side of humanity he experienced in those games. But Guillen believes someone will come and help him. He has to believe there is some goodness in the world, and just
So this is somewhat the issue I have with the way they hype up Guillen this particular way as being like the savior or somebody who believes in good, but he doesn't actually ever, like, the whole point was, take care of your daughter first, then go on your revenge trip or whatever, dude.
Not just take care of your mom, because he got money. So he's like, I need money. He asking his ex-wife, I need money to save my mom because she's sick,
right?
And that kind of gets glossed over. She dies. Shogunai.
It's just the weirdest thing. I'm just
spending a year
right
doing nothing,
right?
I'm like, no, that for me
maybe
that frustrated me because okay, look, people died so you can get this money. You don't want to use it for yourself. Fine, send some to your daughter. Help her out so she doesn't go down the same path of making bad decisions that you did.
Well, to be fair, I will.
And that's 'cause I'm
but I will say about something like that is the fact that the daughter wasn't doing bad. So, she was well off. They didn't need money.
They did, because remember the ex-wife said that they didn't have money because they were prepping to leave.
That's right.
And they had to restart life. That's why they were going.
That's right.
You don't want to keep the money. Not saying you have to give all of it to her, but give the family or the daughter something so then, she can get a proper education or do something and do better than you did.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
But yeah, this whole thing of like setting him up as some sort of savior or like
that,
sort of Jesus Christ type of I believe men can still be good type of deal. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Before the time is up, the homeless man is helped, right at the same time Il-nam passes away. Sometime later, we see Frontman at Il-nam's side, hinting that he will take over as the next head of the Korean games.
Course.
We don't know much about Frontman. His brother, a detective, snuck into the games believing Frontman was held captive, but during his investigation finds out that his brother won the games back in 2015, and
also someone had mentioned that if you look quickly when he's going through these, it starts with 002, not 001. So Il-nam's name is actually not even on the list.
Is Frontman himself. It's never really explained how Frontman went from Squid Game winner to Il-nam's henchman, but it may have something to do with Il-nam's statement that those who are rich have no joy, since Frontman would now be a multi-millionaire. Guillen's encounter with Il-nam changes his outlook on life. Instead of letting the guilt of the past eat away at him, he decides to do
his
something
hair.
good. He changes physically, shaving his beard and dyeing his hair. He
Right,
gets
Negan? I
told
think so.
by Yacht's
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
brother,
big
leaving him with
Blackpink fan.
Sangwoo's mother and millions of dollars in cash. He says it's the money he owes Sangwoo, so we can assume this is half of his winnings, or roughly 19 million US
Wow,
dollars.
really?
While on the subway, he finds the same man who recruited him to the Squid Games over a year ago. He's a bit too late to chase him down, but obtains a new card to enter the next set of games. Guillen is ready to hop on a plane to the US to see his daughter, but the weight of knowing another Squid Games will occur and hundreds will die weighs heavily on him. At the last minute, he calls the number and asks to play. The receiver on the other end tells him to forget it and just get on it.
Giving his friend's mom and brother, money and making sure that he's taken care of, that's great. How about his own daughter?
But I kind of get this point, is the fact that knowing that the next game is about to begin, the weight is weighing down on him, so,
He could join anytime. He's got the card.
No, but you can't, though. There's only a little bit of time, as they stated before.
Well, then, I guess he just doesn't go. Or what?
I
He's
kinda-
gonna foodie me the money. to
I
his
kind of
daughter?
get that. I
That
think
would be
the
fine.
reason that annoys everybody is the fact that, like you said, he waited a whole year. Like, he hasn't done shit for
He
his
wasted
daughter.
a year.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's traumatized. Okay, you got 3
Yeah.
months. After that, get up
Right.
off your butt. Go do something.
Right. Interesting.
Plane. They likely know where he is because every contestant was given a tracking chip before the start of the game, and Guillen decides not to get on the plane. We aren't sure where he's headed, whether it's to play in another
Back to the
games for
salon.
season 2 or try and stop the games from occurring at all. He's now loaded with money that might come into play as well. But if I were a writer on the show, I'd want him to get back in those games and, armed with the knowledge of playing before, try to get the players to cooperate and win together instead of constantly backstabbing each other. Either way, it leaves the options for a season 2 open with many different possibilities. But I want to know what you thought of Squid Game.
Alright.
Should it be
Yeah.
canceled or renewed?
What?
Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.
He says, should it be canceled?
I don't think it should be canceled. I look at it as like it works well as a one-off,
Should it be canceled?
and it works well as a show that could potentially have a
Player
second
one
season.
did nothing wrong. I like that, actually. That's kind of funny. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he kind of did. He created it.
I think
He created the game,
He
so.
created the Korean version, at least. Yeah, I mean, but he, like he said, he's like, yo, I gave y'all a choice.
It's like,
It is what it is.
you didn't have to come.
Right? You didn't have to come, but you can't stay here.
All right.
All right. Well, there you guys have it, guys.
If you do, it's permanent.
Red Dead Nation, stand up, speak up. Like I said, I wish I got on the reaction side of this, but I must have watched it when I saw Netflix advertising it, I could have sworn it was already out for like a month or at least a few weeks. And my girlfriend and we just started watching it. I enjoyed it, and then after I finished it, suddenly I started seeing everybody on on the US side talk about doing reactions for it and everything. But it is like sometimes that happens, and not everything should be recorded like
True.
that. So, but as episodes went by, I'm like, damn. I was thinking to myself, man, these would be like really good reactions when you see who dies,
Who
and
dies
doesn't,
and how- yeah.
So
Someone said if Kingdom can get a season 3, Squid Game should get a season 2.
fair enough.
It's
Fair
funny because it's like one thing I do know that this took 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, I guess it was just timing. It didn't have the right service to pair with, and
Yeah,
since
no,
content was getting
Yeah,
scarce.
there's no way
Netflix,
you
we just need something
Yeah,
original.
you can't put this like you can't put this on regular TV, and it's possible you could make this a movie, but it would have felt so short.
It'd
and
be
you
condensed.
wouldn't have enough time for all the characters to really explore each other.
Unless
like
it was
that.
the same length as the new James Bond movie.
There you go. All right, we'll talk to you on the next one, guys. Peace.